I would say Roman Reigns, who's a cousin of mine. I think he looks great, very talented in the ring.
From The Rock and Roman Reigns, who are cousins, to Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr., who are biological brothers, to Charlotte Flair, who is the daughter of 16-time world champion Ric Flair. These are 20 WWE legends and their surprising family connections, starting with Bret Hart and Owen Hart. Let's kick things off with what might just be the most celebrated wrestling family dynasty in the entire history of professional wrestling, the legendary Hart family of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Bret the Hitman. Hart and his younger brother Owen Hart weren't just related by blood, they were two of the most extraordinarily talented performers to ever lace up a pair of boots. And their story is one that encompasses everything from championship glory to heart-wrenching tragedy. Born into a family of 12 children, to the legendary Stu Hart, a man who founded Stampede Wrestling and trained countless wrestlers in his infamous basement training facility known simply as The Dungeon. Bret and Owen were destined for greatness from the moment they first drew breath. Stu's grueling training methods, which involved applying submission holds that left lasting physical marks on his trainees, forged both brothers into technical masters of the highest order. Bret, born in 1957 as the 8th child, would go on to become a 5-time WWF champion, a 2-time Intercontinental champion, and a man widely regarded as one of the greatest technical wrestlers to ever step between the ropes. His sharpshooter submission hold became one of the most iconic finishing maneuvers in wrestling history. Owen, the youngest of the Hart children born in 1965, possessed a natural charisma and high-flying ability that perfectly complemented his technical prowess, winning 4 tag team championships and the 1994 King of the Ring tournament. Their on-screen rivalry from 1993 to 1995 produced some of the most emotionally resonant storytelling professional wrestling has ever seen, including a 5-star match at WrestleMania X where Owen actually pinned Bret clean in the center of the ring. But the real-life relationship between these brothers was one of genuine love and support, even as they played bitter enemies for the cameras. Tragically, on May 23, 1999, Owen passed away at the age of just 34 during the Over the Edge pay-per-view event, falling 78 feet due to a harness malfunction. The devastation that Bret felt at losing his brother was immeasurable, and when speaking about that fateful night, his words carry the weight of unspeakable grief.
As well or best for Owen, when I say that Owen would not have wanted the show to go on. I don't think if you look at anyone with any common sense in their family, no one would want the show to go on. And I think if Vince McMahon had dropped Shane McMahon from the ceiling and he splatted on the mat, I don't think he would have scraped him off the mat and sent the next match out.
The Hart brothers remain two of the most beloved figures in wrestling history, and their legacy continues through family members like Natalia, who carries the Hart name into a new generation. While the Hart family dominated Canadian wrestling for decades, this next legendary dynasty traces its roots all the way to the islands of Samoa. The Rock and Roman Reigns. Now here's a family connection that might seem obvious on the surface, but the actual nature of the relationship between Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Roman Reigns is far more fascinating and complex than most people realize. These two titans of the wrestling world are indeed considered cousins, but not through any direct biological connection. Their bond stems from a traditional Samoan blood brother pact formed between their grandfathers that united two powerful wrestling families into one legendary dynasty. High Chief Peter Maivia, The Rock's maternal grandfather, was a pioneering Samoan wrestler who debuted in 1962 and became a territorial star across multiple promotions. Reverend Amitwana Anoa'i, Roman Reigns' grandfather, was the patriarch of the Anoa'i wrestling family. Sometime in the 1960s or 1970s, these two men performed a ceremonial blood oath that merged their families together as if they shared actual blood, creating what is now known as the Samoan dynasty, or simply the bloodline. The Rock's path to superstardom began in 1996 as Rocky Maivia, a clean-cut babyface who eventually transformed into one of the most charismatic performers in wrestling history. 8 WWF championships, countless legendary feuds with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and a transition into becoming one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars. The Rock's accomplishments speak for themselves. Roman Reigns, meanwhile, burst onto the scene as part of The Shield in 2012 and eventually embarked on a historic 316-day Universal Championship reign as the Tribal Chief, leading the Bloodline faction that has dominated WWE programming for years. When discussing his cousin Roman in earlier years, The Rock had this to say.
Yeah, let's see, I would say, I would say probably, let me speak in the WWE.
Okay.
I would say Roman Reigns, who's a cousin of mine. I think he looks great, very talented in the ring.
Their family connection has become central to WWE's storytelling, especially during the Bloodline saga, where The Rock returned in 2024 to align with Reigns against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40. The Anoa'i family tree includes over 20 wrestlers across multiple generations, making it arguably the most influential wrestling family in history. Speaking of WrestleMania 40, this next father-son duo played a massive role in that historic event, and their story is one of dreams fulfilled across generations. Dusty Rhodes and Cody Rhodes. The relationship between Virgil Dusty Rhodes and his son Cody Rhodes represents one of the most emotionally powerful generational stories in all of professional wrestling. A tale of the American dream and the son who would eventually complete a journey his father never could. Dusty Rhodes, born Virgil Riley Runnels Jr. in Austin, Texas in 1945, was the son of a plumber who transformed himself into one of the most charismatic and beloved babyfaces in wrestling history. A three-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion known for his bionic elbow finisher and his polka dot attire in WWF, Dusty was the everyman hero who spoke to the common fan in a way that no one else could. He was also a brilliant booker and trainer who helped shape the careers of countless future stars through his work in NXT. Cody, born in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1985, didn't initially plan to follow in his father's footsteps, but growing up, he discovered his father's legendary status by renting VHS tapes of Dusty's matches against Ric Flair and others from Blockbuster Video. The stories of his father's greatness inspired him, but it was tragedy that ultimately pushed him into the ring. Specifically, the unfulfilled dreams of his older brother Reed, who passed away in 2013. When Dusty Rhodes passed away on June 11, 2015, from kidney failure, Cody was left with a burning desire to accomplish what his father never could: capture the WWE Championship. That journey took him through independent wrestling, the founding of AEW, and eventually back to WWE, where he ended Roman Reigns' historic reign at WrestleMania 40 to become undisputed WWE champion. Reflecting on what his late father would think of his WrestleMania victory, Cody shared these touching words.
A really unshakable confidence in me, which I didn't have in myself. And I look at the match and I know, here's The Rock. He used to tag with Rock's dad. Here's Roman Reigns, one of his pupils when he helped train him. Seth Rollins, one of his favorites. Here I am, his actual son. I think he would have liked to sit back and just kind of give him a, I told you so.
The connection between father and son transcends championships and accolades. It's a story of legacy, perseverance, and a son's unwavering love for the man who inspired him to dream. If the Rhodes family exemplifies the American dream, this next wrestling dynasty brought the passion and fire of Mexican lucha libre to mainstream audiences worldwide. Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero. When we talk about the legendary Guerrero wrestling dynasty, we're talking about a Mexican-American family whose influence on both lucha libre and professional wrestling spans 3 incredible generations. Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero Jr. might have been uncle and nephew by blood, but they were brothers in every way that truly matters, bonded by a shared heritage that shaped them from childhood. The dynasty began with patriarch Dory Guerrero, a pioneering luchador who debuted in 1937 and is credited with inventing moves like the camel clutch, Gory Special, and Gory Bomb. Eddie, born in El Paso, Texas in 1967 as the youngest of Gory's sons, was actually closer in age to his nephew Chavo Jr. Only 3 years separated them, making their relationship feel more like siblings than traditional uncle and nephew. Growing up, Eddie and Chavo wrestled intermission matches at Gory's shows from childhood, developing a brother-like bond that would eventually translate into incredible on-screen chemistry. Eddie's career saw him capture championships across every major promotion, from ECW to WCW to WWE, where his lie, cheat, steal persona made him one of the most beloved performers of his era. His WWE Championship victory at No Way Out 2004 remains one of the most emotional moments in wrestling history. As Los Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo won 2 tag team championships while entertaining audiences with their hilarious vignettes that perfectly encapsulated their mischievous personas. But like all Guerrero storylines, family drama was never far behind. Their feuds with each other were just as compelling as their partnerships, including a bloody Texas bull rope match at Judgment Day 2004. Tragically, Eddie passed away on November 13, 2005, at just 38 years old from heart failure due to atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. It was Chavo who discovered his uncle in their Minneapolis hotel room that morning, a moment that would haunt him forever, but also inspire him to honor Eddie's legacy for the rest of his career. The Guerrero family legacy lives on through generations of wrestlers inspired by Eddie and Chavo's technical brilliance, charisma, and the authentic family drama they brought to every storyline they touched. While the Guerreros built their dynasty over 3 generations, this next family has produced excellence across 3 generations as well, and their youngest star might just be the greatest of them all. Randy Orton and Bob Orton Jr. The Orton family represents one of professional wrestling's most impressive multi-generational dynasties, with roots stretching back 3 generations and a legacy that continues to grow with every RKO that strikes out of nowhere. Randy Orton, the 3rd-generation superstar known as the Viper, learned his craft from a father who was one of the most cunning villains of the 1980s wrestling boom. Bob Orton Sr., Randy's grandfather, was known as the Big O and competed from the 1950s through the 1980s, establishing the family's wrestling credentials in promotions like the NWA and Stampede Wrestling. His son, Bob Orton Jr., nicknamed Cowboy Bob Orton, became infamous for his fake arm cast gimmick, which he used as a weapon during his time as Roddy Piper's enforcer in the inaugural WrestleMania main event. Randy was born in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1980, and despite his parents' warnings about the physical toll the wrestling business takes on the body, he felt destined to follow in their footsteps. After a brief Marine Corps stint and training under his father and grandfather at the Mid-Missouri Wrestling Association, Randy signed with WWE and quickly established himself as one of the most naturally gifted performers of his generation. When Randy became the youngest world heavyweight champion at just 24 years old at SummerSlam 2004, it was the culmination of 3 generations of wrestling excellence. Today, with 14 world championship reigns under his belt, Randy has far surpassed his father's in-ring accomplishments while always honoring the man who taught him the fundamentals. Speaking about his son's incredible career, Bob Orton Jr. couldn't hide his pride.
Well, I was behind him 100%, you know. We would have rather have been a dentist or something, but he wanted to wrestle, and he did a hell of a job with him. He's the best they've had in years.
Easily, you know?
Yeah.
A player that you can put into any position.
Yep.
He can be in the title contention if you want.
He's that good.
He could fight, you know, their top heel. He could fight their top baby. Whatever you need, you know?
Yeah.
He's going to make, he can elevate anyone at any time, can strike at any time.
Yep.
That's very cool.
The Orton dynasty continues to influence professional wrestling, with Randy's legacy growing with each passing year. If the Ortons represent wrestling royalty from the Midwest, this next pair of brothers built their legendary status in the dusty plains of Texas, and their contrasting styles couldn't have been more different. Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. The Funk brothers, Terry and Dory Jr., are 2 of the most influential figures in professional wrestling history, whose contrasting styles and unbreakable brotherly bond shaped the industry in ways that continue to resonate today. Born on the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, to legendary wrestler and promoter Dory Funk Sr., these brothers were raised on a steady diet of toughness, determination, and an uncompromising commitment to their craft. Dory Sr. founded Western States Sports in 1947 and trained his sons in a physical, shoot-style wrestling philosophy that emphasized legitimacy above all else. His training methods were famously sparse on praise. If he said nothing after one of his sons' matches, it meant they had performed well. This tough-love approach forged 2 very different but equally legendary wrestlers. Dory Funk Jr., born in 1941, became the technical master, a methodical scientific wrestler who held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship for an astounding 1,563 days beginning in 1969. His spinning toe hold and the Texas cloverleaf, which he invented, became staples of technical wrestling. Later in life, Dory would train future WWE Hall of Famers like Edge, Kurt Angle, and Lita at his funking conservatory in Ocala, Florida. Terry Funk, born in 1944, took a wildly different path. While he also captured the NWA World Championship, making them the first brothers in history to both hold that prestigious title, Terry became synonymous with hardcore wrestling. His matches in ECW pioneered the extreme style, his feuds with Ric Flair became legendary, and his willingness to put his body through absolute hell earned him the moniker the Hardcore Legend. Tragically, Terry passed away on August 23, 2023, at the age of 79 after battling dementia in his later years. When speaking about his brother, Dory's words were simple but profound.
What about Terry? Everyone believed Terry was crazy. Was he like that in real life?
Sometimes. Sometimes he would go crazy, but for the majority of the time, my time around him, we loved each other. And it ended very, very sad, but I love my brother too.
The Funk brothers revolutionized professional wrestling, Dory through technical excellence, Terry through hardcore innovation, and their legacy as the original brotherly wrestling dynasty will never be forgotten. Speaking of legendary feuds with Ric Flair, this next entry features the Nature Boy himself and the daughter who is determined to surpass his legendary championship record. Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair. When it comes to father-daughter duos in professional wrestling, none can match the legacy, the controversy, and the sheer championship dominance of Ric Flair and his daughter Charlotte. The Nature Boy and the Queen have redefined what it means to carry a family legacy, while simultaneously creating their own individual paths to greatness. Ric Flair's origin story reads like something from a novel. Born Richard Morgan Flyer in Memphis, Tennessee in 1949, he was kidnapped at birth by child trafficker Georgia Tann and sold through the Tennessee Children's Home Society before being adopted by a doctor and his wife in Minnesota. This dramatic beginning foreshadowed a life that would be filled with incredible highs and devastating lows. As a 16-time world champion, a record he shares with John Cena, Ric Flair became the most decorated performer in wrestling history. His flamboyant robes, signature woo chant, and the figure 4 leg lock became cultural touchstones that transcended wrestling itself. But his personal life was marked by 5 marriages, financial troubles, and the tragic loss of his son Reed in 2013 from a drug overdose. Charlotte, born Ashley Elizabeth Fleer in 1986, didn't originally dream of becoming a wrestler. She excelled at volleyball, winning 2 state championships, and initially pursued a career as a personal trainer. But after Reed's death and seeing what her father's legacy meant to wrestling fans worldwide, she entered the business at age 26, partly to honor her brother's unfulfilled dreams and partly to give her father renewed purpose in life. The advice that Ric gave Charlotte has guided her throughout her career.
My dad, the best piece of advice my dad's ever given me is just you have to know who you are and who your character is through and through when you walk through the curtain. That's the most important thing because the fans see right through. If you don't believe in yourself, they're gonna eat you alive. And authenticity of your character is what sells.
Today, as a 14-time women's world champion, Charlotte has already established herself as the greatest female performer in WWE history, and she's not done yet. Her goal of surpassing her father's 16 world title reigns represents not just personal ambition, but the ultimate tribute to the man who taught her what it means to be the man. While Charlotte Flair carries on a legacy everyone knows about, this next family connection is one that most fans have absolutely no idea existed, and it directly influenced one of WWE's strangest storylines: The Undertaker and Brian Lee. Here's a family connection that most wrestling fans have no idea existed, and it actually played a crucial role in one of the most bizarre storylines in WWE history. The Undertaker, the legendary dead man Mark Calloway, and Brian Lee are first cousins, a fact that directly influenced one of the strangest angles the company ever produced. Mark Calloway, born in Houston, Texas in 1965, grew up in a working-class family with 4 older brothers and excelled in basketball before transitioning to professional wrestling. His creation of the Undertaker character in 1990 would go on to define an entire era of WWE programming, with his 21-2 WrestleMania streak becoming the stuff of legend. Brian Lee, born in 1966 in St. Petersburg, Florida, shared not just blood with his famous cousin, but also a striking physical resemblance. Both men were exceptionally tall with similar builds. This family connection would become relevant in 1994 when WWE needed someone to portray a fake Undertaker. After The Undertaker's death at Royal Rumble 1994, following a casket attack by Yokozuna and his allies, Ted DiBiase claimed to have used his wealth to revive the dead man. What he actually did was introduce Brian Lee as an imposter, dubbed Underfaker by fans, leading to a confrontation at SummerSlam 1994, where the real Undertaker returned and defeated the fake version in a casket match. The storyline, while often criticized as campy, drew from real-life instances where fans had actually mistaken Brian Lee for his famous cousin due to their family resemblance. Brian would later return to WWE as Chains in the Disciples of Apocalypse faction during the Gang Wars era of 1997-1998. It's a testament to how deeply family connections run in professional wrestling that even one of the industry's most mysterious characters has relatives who literally stepped into his boots. If The Undertaker and Brian Lee's family connection surprised you, this next pair of cousins from Memphis will absolutely blow your mind, especially considering how much tension has existed between them over the years. Jerry, the King, Lawler, and the Honky Tonk Man. Memphis, Tennessee is the birthplace of rock and roll, the home of Elvis Presley, and also the origin point of one of wrestling's most contentious family rivalries. Jerry, the King Lawler, and the Honky Tonk Man are first cousins whose shared Memphis roots and family ties shaped their careers, though their relationship has been marked by real-life tension that continues to this day. Jerry Lawler, born in 1949, became the undisputed king of Memphis wrestling, holding over 240 championships throughout his legendary career, including the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. His feud with Andy Kaufman in 1982, culminating in that infamous slap on The Late Show with David Letterman, blurred the lines between reality and entertainment in ways that helped legitimize professional wrestling in mainstream culture. The Honky Tonk Man, born Roy Wayne Ferris in 1953, got his start in wrestling thanks to his cousin Jerry giving him a break in Memphis. But despite this family connection, their relationship soured over the years, with disputes over booking, pay, and perceived favoritism creating rifts that would fuel shoot interviews for decades. What makes their story particularly fascinating is how their real-life tensions sometimes bled into their professional work. In one particularly revealing interview, Honky Tonk Man discussed the complicated dynamics of working with family in the wrestling business.
Did you actually work for him in those days?
Yeah, he was the booker. I mean, he was booking sometimes and I was there. Jerry Jarrett always seemed to take care of me a lot better than my cousin did as far as booking and things of that nature. It's like when I first started, started in Memphis, Jerry would have me booked, Jerry Lawler that is, would have me booked like 2 nights. One in Louisville was a 500-mile drive.
Despite their complicated history, Honky Tonk Man's 454-day Intercontinental Championship reign, the longest in history, remains one of wrestling's most impressive records, while Lawler's contributions as both performer and commentator have earned him a permanent place in wrestling lore. While the Memphis cousins had their share of disagreements, this next pair of cousins from England formed one of the most dominant tag teams in wrestling history, and their partnership changed the industry forever. British Bulldog and Dynamite Kid. The British Bulldogs tag team revolutionized professional wrestling with their combination of power and high-flying innovation, and what made their partnership so special was that it was literally a family affair. Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid were first cousins whose family bond forged one of the most influential tag teams in wrestling history. Born in Golborne, Lancashire, England, their mothers were sisters from the Billington family. Growing up just a town apart in a working-class mining community, Davey Boy, born 1962, and Dynamite, born Thomas Billington in 1958, trained together from childhood under their Uncle Ted Betley at the Snake Pit Gym, learning the catch-as-catch-can wrestling style that would become their foundation. Dynamite Kid pioneered high-flying wrestling in ways that influenced generations of performers after him. His legendary series with Tiger Mask in New Japan Pro Wrestling during 1982-1983 earned 5-star ratings and changed what people thought was possible inside a wrestling ring. Davey Boy, meanwhile, brought incredible power to their partnership, reportedly bench pressing 550 pounds at his peak. Together as the British Bulldogs, they captured the WWF World Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 2 in 1986, defeating the Dream Team with Ozzy Osbourne in their corner. Their feuds with the Hart Foundation produced technical classics that remain must-see matches to this day. But the story of the British Bulldogs is also one of tragedy. Dynamite's steroid abuse and injuries led to him being confined to a wheelchair by 1996. 1997, suffering a stroke in 2013, and ultimately passing away on his 60th birthday in 2018. Davey Boy died even younger, just 39 years old in 2002 from heart failure, linked to drugs and injuries sustained throughout his career. Their family connection extended further through marriages into the Hart wrestling family. Dynamite married Bret Hart's sister-in-law Michelle, while Davey Boy married Bret's sister Diana in 1984. The legacy of these cousins lives on through Davey Boy Smith Jr., who continues to wrestle today, and through every high-flying tag team that draws inspiration from what they accomplished together. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.